Hello, hello. Welcome to Soul Good. It's a blessing and absolute pleasure to be here with you. So thank you so very much for being here with me. Please do know that whenever you have found yourself here, there is likely to be something within the contents of this video for you. And I hope you stick around. Whoever I'm speaking to, I feel as though there has been a rather massive shift, a rather massive transformation that has taken place within you. That's not to say that this couldn't impact or influence your external reality, but whoever I'm speaking to, this is something that started as an inside job, if you will. And the way that you'll know if this is for you is that this shift, this transformation would have taken place under pressure. 111 on the timer. 3 of the 5 decks that I've felt called to use have diamonds on them, diamond shapes on them. And that's telling me that this transformation, this shift, did not come easily. It tells me that it was done through perseverance, through determination, through conviction, through faith. It has required much of you. This is not something that came easily. And you may not even be fully conscious of what it is that you transformed. You may not even realize how big of a shift this is because it hasn't made itself manifest physically. I'm not saying that is true for everyone, but a majority of those that I'm speaking to would likely resonate with not seeing significant changes in your physical or external reality. This would be something that, if you are aware of it, you would feel on an internal level, and you would notice it in how you move through your day. It would be showing up in ways that you likely wouldn't expect. This is a message for a small number of people. And I've been called to express that in a world of about 8.2 billion, small can mean a lot of things. But with regard to this video, with regard to these messages specifically, I feel as though the number of people that are actually going to resonate with this is so small that it would likely go unnoticed. Yet the shift is massive, and it's created ripples. Again, likely, which you've not yet to see, if you ever see them. This is something that a vast majority of people would not pursue voluntarily. Not that it really happened voluntarily, but there is a level of intention. There is a level of seeking to this. So that's a way that you will know if this video is for you. Now, moving forward, you may be gaining clarity or coming to new perspectives regarding your relationships or companions in your life And for some, loyalty seems to be at the forefront. Loyalty seems to be a prominent issue that's being addressed. And I'm not saying that this is something you're confronting externally, not necessarily, in the sense that I don't mean that you are coming face to face with your companions or your relationships, whoever you have a relationship with, and are calling them out for being disloyal. No, this feels more like this internal realization, this, okay, I see what's happening here type of energy. Take it as it resonates with you. If it doesn't, leave it for someone else. I also got an image of a golden egg. There are some of you who, moving forward, will see or experience an increase in your creative potential, or you could have creative potential revealed to you. It could also be a reignition, if you will, of creative passions or pursuits. And these are likely to be things that you already have a liking for, that you already have some kind of experience in. It may even be something that you did as a child and have since let fall to the wayside, or have since disregarded entirely. That doesn't have to be true for everyone, but I do feel like it wouldn't be surprising that this was something that is coming back around after a process of healing, after a process of transformation. And I feel like these creative likings are things that were buried beneath whatever trauma wounding programming that you took on throughout your life. Again, that doesn't have to be the case for everyone who may be experiencing this spark of creativity coming forward. It doesn't necessarily have to be the case, but I do feel like there are those who would resonate with that. I'm getting ringing in my right ear. So a little bit of confirmation there. So those are some messages that I was getting. So for some, there's some confirmation messages there with what I've just shared. And for others, it is almost this is going to be your confirmation moving forward, because these things will show up in your life, if that makes sense, okay? Take it as it resonates with you. This is your journey. It's your life, and you know you better than anyone else. Okay, so please do trust your intuition, trust yourself, and trust what is true for your journey and your soul. Okay, so let's get into it. Please, Father, Mother, Life, Christ, Universe, Spirits, Guides, Angels, our cosmic team, our ancestors, our higher selves, what has shifted for whoever is listening? Thank you. So we start off here with a storyteller in the shadow, attribute, or reverse position. And it says, making up tales that harm others. I feel as though this is pretty revealing, especially after what we were just speaking on. Gaining clarity or coming to new perspectives regarding certain relationships. That doesn't only have to be, let's say, romantic relationships or relationships with your family or at work. This could also be groups that you are a part of. And when I say groups that you are a part of, I'm not saying that it's like a gym membership, like you have something that you went and signed up for. This could be a group that you are a part of, where you share the same beliefs, where you share similar ideals, similar truths, or what you believe to be true. Okay? Perhaps you share, or you think you share similar values. Something seems to have shifted within you, where you are now able to see. I say the word see in a more intuitive, gut feeling, perhaps third eye type of way. Because I feel as though this transformation, this alchemizing that has taken place of some of your wounds or traumas or programming has allowed you to essentially remove the rose-colored glasses, if you will, and see things for what they are. Not for what you want them to be, or not for what you were told they were. And this can apply to lots of different experiences that you have with other people. For some of you, perhaps this is something that has taken place within yourself. Perhaps you have revealed through this process of healing to yourself where you were telling yourself harmful stories, repeating stories that weren't serving you, repeating stories that are harmful to you because they are lies. So it could be one or the other, or perhaps both. And again, this is, I feel, a result of the healing that has taken place, the pulling back of the masks, the pulling back of the curtain, if you will, that has allowed this revelation to come through, that has allowed this awareness to come forth. For some of you, these stories come from your family, your ancestry. These could be what a lot of people would refer to as, let's say, generational curses. These could be stories that have been passed down through your line that have been harmful, probably for generations. There are a number of ways that this could show up, and I would encourage you to check in with yourself. Maybe you want to pray about it or meditate on it or something of that nature, but I would encourage you to take what resonates. You know, okay? Even if you think you don't know, you know. Okay, what else? What else has shifted, please? Thank you. Wow, we have the femme fatale in the shadow or reverse position as well. Inappropriate use of sensuality, attachment to money and power. The message that is standing out most to me with this card is that attachment to money and power. Whoever I'm speaking to, I feel as though your perspectives or your, yes, thank you, your beliefs around money and power, I feel, have shifted. I feel at one point, and this makes I just have to say, this makes a tremendous amount of sense based on the programming that we have been swimming in, okay? And perhaps this is one of those harmful stories that we have been telling ourselves and that others have also been telling us. But you may have been at one point someone who perceived success as acquiring vast amounts of money and power. You may have been someone who sought out to achieve success by those definitions. And perhaps you have. But something has shifted. Whatever it is that you have been healing, working on within yourself, you may have come to the conclusion or the realization that these attachments to things like money and power, possessions, status, can be corrupting. You may have witnessed that corruption within yourself. You may have witnessed it within others. You may have had a, we'll say, coming to Jesus moment where you've realized that money and power and the attachment to it. I just have to say, we live in this world currently where we use money as a means to survive. And I'm not ignoring that. So I just want to make that very clear. But you may be someone who has now come to the realization that the attachment to money and power is what corrupts. It is what is evil. And this may have, or maybe it will, create this snowball effect within your life where your plans, your goals, your aspirations, your dreams have now shifted away from obtaining vast amounts of money or acquiring a lot of power, right? You may be reaching for new things at this point, and they may have nothing to do with, achieving some great success from that perspective. This could come as a shock to people around you, especially if you were someone who was dead set focused on, I must achieve XYZ. Okay, or if you were someone who was very focused on climbing the ladder. You may have had that cookie cutter kind of goal, go to university, get a job, get married, buy a house, have children, retire. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you may be someone who had this, let me have it planned out like this. But that may have shifted once you started uncovering the truth of who you actually are at a soul level, realizing that your desire for those things is not your own. It's something you've been told. It's something you've been programmed to strive for. And it actually has little to no meaning on a very deep level. Okay. Well, wow. Thank you. So we have two cards that flipped out here. Both of them happen to be in the upright or light attribute position. The first being shapeshifter, skill at navigating through different levels of consciousness, ability to see the potential in everything. Whoever I'm speaking to, this is not a process that took place like this. It is not a process that was easy or quick. This feels like something that's been unfolding for some time. For some of you, years. It doesn't feel like this is something that just happened within a week or things like this. The shift or the realization of the shift may have felt rather quick for some, but the unfolding of it, no, I don't feel like this is something that happened quickly. if you look at the card here, notice all of these layers. That's what's giving me this understanding. That is what is showing me, no, you've had to dig through these layers of yourself to come to this place. Again, it's that energy I was sharing earlier about the diamond forming under pressure. You know, having to go through incredible challenge in order to come to this place. I feel as though there have likely been a lot of battles, if you will, that have taken place within you, and likely outside of yourself as well, especially in regards to people that no longer understand the level of consciousness from which you're operating. Previously, when you were buried under all of these layers, your truth was buried under all of these layers, and you were operating from a surface level, your levels of consciousness may have been similar or matched. But that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. And so some of these battles have likely taken place with people who are closest to you, who simply do not understand. And that's okay. This is something that many who embark on this path of truth, of purification, of healing will encounter. Many have done it before, and many will do it as we move forward. It's just a part of the process. But I feel this has not come at, how do I say this? There has been no easy button for this. And that is true spirituality. Whoever I'm speaking to, you are not someone, okay, let me back up. Whoever I'm speaking to, you may have been someone who was spiritually bypassing in the past. That happens to many who embark on this journey. I feel as though the way that you have been navigating this part of your journey, you've understood fully that there is no easy way out. There is no easy button. There is no shortcut. There is no, skipping ahead. Again, maybe you are someone who has tried that in the past, or thought that you could somehow in the past do things the easy way. But true spiritual evolution, true soul development is not easy. And anyone who tells you otherwise is likely lying to you or is trying to sell you something. And you may be someone who has had to learn that the hard way. Because this transformation for you has been earned. It has been earned in facing your deepest fears. What is the quote? There's a quote I'm thinking of where, oh my gosh, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's something along the lines of, I have wandered through my own darkness to find me, or something along those lines. And whoever I'm speaking to, that period of darkness has been truly dark. There have been points that things have looked bleak, where you may have lost hope or faith, or, found yourself stumbling, found yourself feeling absolutely crazy. Right? You may have experienced feeling like you're completely losing your mind. But this process requires so much from us. Again, not many people will do this. Even in the Bible, it is said the way is narrow. It's like passing through the eye of a needle. And here's the thing. Think about this, and just if you can paint this picture in your mind, one cannot pass through the eye of a needle carrying all sorts of baggage. It just doesn't work that way. Many people try and many will fail, which is why also in the Bible it is stated that many will come before Christ and say, Lord, Lord, and Christ will reply, depart from me, I never knew you. Oh, that hurts my soul when I say that. That's why that is said, because people will try to convince themselves that they can just get away with this or that and they can just take the easy way, and it doesn't work that way. Christ is purifying and it's painful. So getting to this space has been no easy task. And you now may be finding yourself in this position where facing these different layers of yourself as you continue to dig is becoming easier. You may feel much more skilled at navigating your own levels of consciousness because you've been doing it. I'm not saying it is easy, but it's become easier because it's a skill that you have been developing. And this is something that not a lot of people talk about. There are very small communities who do bring this forward, okay? But it's something that not a lot of people talk about, really. That developing or expanding your consciousness, healing your soul, going through a evolutionary journey of your soul, this is it's a study. Okay, this is not a let me read one book and all my problems are solved, let me take a master class and let me do yoga and buy some crystals and this is what's going to solve things. No, that's entertainment. That's bypassing. This is a study like any other. For example, one doesn't just, I'm going to be a welder today, and all of a sudden you know how to weld. No, you actually have to learn how to do that. That's not saying you can't teach yourself, but it's a process. And I'm not saying that, I don't know, maybe there's somebody out there in history that, just woke up and I know how to weld. Okay, that's fair. That's an anomaly, okay? But in most cases, when we're looking at developing a skill, it is not something that you just, okay, let me do this one thing and boom, now I've got it. No, it's something that unfolds over time. It is something that requires study and effort. And I feel as though this is why you may be finding yourself in this place where you are able to navigate these different levels of your consciousness, different levels of your experience, your existence, with more ease than before. Again, I'm not saying it's easy, but the way that you experience it may not be as challenging as it once was, especially in regards to certain areas, and you will know what those are for you. We have here the destroyer in the light attribute or upright position, releasing what is potentially destructive, preparing for new life. So as I was saying with the storyteller and this healing, letting go of what is not serving you, what may be harmful, this is that. And in order for this to unfold, there has to be a certain level of, there has to be a certain level of participation, collaboration, where you voluntarily or you intentionally allow yourself to see these harmful things. There's a radical level of acceptance and honesty with oneself, where you allow yourself to see these things very clearly that are potentially destructive, and do the work necessary to let go of them and prepare for new life. Again, super fascinating with the attachment to money and power and this preparing for new life and how that was coming through. Because for those who did at one point, and many of us have, again, it's what we've been programmed to do. For those that have worked through this or allowed yourself to release this attachment, or have recognized the need to do that, the significance, or let's say the value, isn't there. And so the goals you once had, the aims you once had, the dreams you once had are no longer relevant. And it's pretty wild how this unfolds, because one moment you can feel as though you're being consumed by that desire for money and power. And the next, and I say that so lightly because it's not that fast, of course, but one moment you could be living from that perspective, and the next you could find yourself just completely neutral to it, where it's not of importance. You could care less. And so this preparation for new life is saying, you may have come to the realization that because you are now, or because you are not what you once thought yourself to be, the truths that you thought were true are actually not true. Not for, how do I explain this? You guys, it's so strange, okay? Because once upon a time, they could have been your truths. And they were, from the perspective you were living at. Okay? You don't know what you don't know. But now that you know, now that you've been, digging through some of these layers and removing some of these masks and the rose-colored glasses, and seeing through the lies, seeing through the illusion, now there could be this understanding that these things were preparing you for a path that you yourself could not see before. Which brings me to another quote from the Bible, where it's like, man will plan his path, but God will lead his steps, or something along those lines. Forgive me if I'm completely botching that, but it's something like that. Right? You may have been making these plans for your life based on these stories, these harmful stories, based on your attachment to power and money. Again, likely things that you essentially inherited. And now that you've been pulling that back, it's like, oh, this was all to reveal something to me that I couldn't even see before. Because oftentimes the darkness, the shadow, the challenges that we face, especially the things that are incredibly trying on our faith, on our spirit, they tend to be pieces to the puzzle of our purpose. Now, it's not to say that it becomes our purpose entirely, though that could also be true, but most certainly could be something that shows up that we have to reach into our tool bag and grab out at some point or another, right? Maybe you meet someone who has went through a similar experience and you can recall your own and show them compassion, show them love, hold space for them, right? You know what it's like to be there. I hope this is making sense. And what I love about this, I love it all, of course, but something that is quite beautiful about this is that though this road for you has likely been remarkably challenging, there is this confirmation that wherever you find yourself now, it's not the end all be all, right? This is not the end of your story. As a matter of fact, this card coming through is telling me that perhaps now you are the one writing your story. Whereas before it was the trauma, the wounding, the programming, the stories. It was the man behind the curtain or the puppet master behind the scenes that was running the show. But now you may be finding yourself in this position where the pen is in your hands. It's now your story. It's not the story of your ancestors. It's not the story of whatever society was doing. No, it's your story. And to be quite frank, that is how it is supposed to be at this stage of our human evolution. We are meant to be moving away from groupthink, from tribalism, and moving more toward developing our capital I, our individuality, so that we can move out of matter and spiritualize as was intended for us, as is intended for us. So while your experience of this may have felt incredibly destructive, it has not been for nothing. I feel as though, and I feel called to say that there are those of you who, and I'm already getting fear because I can feel the energy retracting before I even say anything. So hold tight. Even if what I'm about to say triggers you or makes you uncomfortable, I would encourage to delve deeper into that, to not back away from it. But there are some of you listening who have been being prepared to be a vessel, which is true for all of us, by the way, but you in your stage of development may have been being prepared to be more of a vessel for God, for Christ to come and move through you. Now, that's not going to resonate with everyone, and I can feel that some may have some aversion to religion, and I just want to say that I am not speaking about religious Jesus here. That's not the perspective that I look at God from. That's not the perspective I look at Christ from. Okay, mine is more of a esoteric Christianity or a Christian mystic perspective. And if you're curious about that, I would strongly encourage you to look into the work of Rudolf Steiner, G.G. Jung, Douglas Gabriel, because they have excellent content. Now, Steiner's work is the basis of a lot of G.G. Jung's work and a lot of Douglas Gabriel's work as well. G.G. Jung and Douglas Gabriel can bring it forward in a more modern way, if you will. But a lot of it, or there is a good chunk of what they share that stems from the work of Rudolf Steiner. So if you feel called to look there, feel free to do that. But that is certainly not going to be for everyone either. Okay, so what else do you need to know? What else do you need to know about this transformation? Thank you. So we have inner temple, devotion, tune into the portal of your heart. Yes, I feel as though some of you have been going through some kind of heart chakra opening or heart chakra activation. And I just want to say that, you know, Christ is within you in your heart. And so it's kind of funny how we were just speaking on that, and this happens to come through. I feel like the process you've been going through has been to bring you into union with yourself, right? To marry, if you will, your physical and spiritual self, to create a balance between the two. Meaning that you tune into your heart and not only connect with it for yourself and within, but also bring it through you, right? Allowing it to be made manifest through you and through what it is you are doing. If you look at the card here, these two women are sitting at the base of that staircase. And at the top, just above the doorway, there's an upward facing pyramid. This is the upward facing pyramid is often associated with the masculine impulse, the masculine energies. And that is what is saying to me that that it's about taking what lives within you and bringing it into the physical world, okay? Which is a masculine principle. So it's about bringing it forward, bringing it out into reality. It's not just, you know, the inner world. We're not meant to be hoarding our heart, right? We're not meant to be just sitting on the truth of who we are. We're meant to be bringing it through us and sharing it with the world and being of service to the world through our heart. I hope this makes sense, because it's about actually bringing what is within you into the physical world. And I feel as though this is what you have been being prepared for. As I was saying earlier, what that is for you, for some, it is so that you can be this mouthpiece of God. You can be this living, breathing, walking embodiment of God, of Christ, in all that you do, which is the goal anyways. But for some of you who maybe, you know, don't resonate with that, and that's okay, it's about bringing what is in your heart out, sharing it with the world, and being of service to humanity by what it is that you have within you to share. You know, you don't necessarily have to be, let's say, on a stage or like write a book or, you know, appeal to large crowds or a vast majority of people, right? This could simply be something that you are passionate about, something that you love and enjoy. It doesn't have to be some grandiose thing. A lot of times when we talk about, you know, purpose or sharing your heart and your gifts and bringing it through you to be of service, a lot of times people look at that as though it's supposed to be this grandiose thing, and that's not always the case. Sometimes your purpose is to simply be your most authentic, true, loving self, and to show up in the world that way every single day in everything you do with everyone you interact with. And by that, you are creating impacts on the world, sharing that powerful force of love, and it creates ripples in ways that you may never know. I wanted to clarify that because so often it becomes this overwhelming, it becomes very material, it becomes very physical, it becomes very worldly, and we can lose sight of what that really means when we place what is in our heart in the worldly box, if that makes sense. What else, please? Thank you. Boundaries. Where do you need to establish better boundaries? I feel that this not only applies to others, but also to yourself. That's something that isn't often spoken about. I'm not saying it's never spoken about, but you hear about it far less, or you see it far less, especially, you know, on socials and things like this. You know, people talk all the time about creating boundaries with other people, or with certain situations and things like this. And while that is certainly important as well, sometimes we leave out that some of our most important boundaries are the ones we create with ourselves. For example, if you won't let someone else, if you've created a boundary with someone else where you will not allow them to speak to you in a certain way, why, for the love of God, would you allow yourself to speak to you in a way that you won't allow others to? So there's a similar energy here with that. Take it how it resonates with you. But either way, one of the more important things that many people struggle with is creating these boundaries and sticking to them. Again, we've been programmed heavily to abandon ourselves, to forsake ourselves, to neglect ourselves for the sake of everyone else, to run ourselves in the ground because it's what we're supposed to do. And that is so unhealthy. It's destructive. It's harmful. And so we must begin to shift the paradigm by being living, breathing examples of healthy boundaries with ourselves and with the world. If I'm not going to let someone else do something, why on earth would I let myself? Or vice versa, however that may apply. And as you come to new understandings about yourself and reality, it is so important to create these boundaries. A good example of this, I feel, comes from the Bible, where I believe it's Christ who says, you know, don't feed pearls to swine. There are some who are just not going to resonate with you. They're not going to understand you. They are not going to be able to meet you at the level of consciousness that you are existing on. And it's okay. While it may be incredibly uncomfortable, challenging, painful even. It's okay. You are supposed to evolve. You are supposed to raise your levels of consciousness. You are supposed to grow. You are supposed to expand. You are not meant to stay the same. Now, that's not to say that you can't still have interactions with these individuals. That's not to say that you have to, disown them or, banish them from your life. I mean, there are times that does happen, but that doesn't have to be the case. It can simply mean that you're not having the same conversations. You're not engaging in the same way that you once were. For example, if you reach a certain level of consciousness, and you find that, let's say, gossiping really bothers you, right? Your spirit may reject the act altogether, and you associate and spend your time with individuals who do this. You could find yourself where you once were chiming in and throwing in your 2 cents and, so excited about what's the tea. You could find that is no longer interesting to you, and so you just don't engage in it. You just remove yourself from that equation because it's something that you feel is not helpful. You feel it is harmful to do. That's just one of hundreds of thousands of examples. But certainly, creating boundaries where needed is important as you move through these stages of your evolution. Thank you. We have yes, just say yes. So I did a video recently that's titled Yes, actually. So if you feel called, you may want to watch that video also. Okay. Notice how there are 3 women in this card, but they all appear to be the same person. Okay. I feel like this is saying yes to your expansion. There's also that upward facing pyramid in this card as well. Okay. So I feel as though this just say yes is saying yes to your own expansion. This can also be referring to bringing wisdom, bringing knowledge down through your being from your higher self, if you will. I say down because your higher self exists on a different plane. We just can't see it. So I feel like this is about kind of bringing your higher self down through your being, right? But that, of course, requires tuning into the portal of your heart. That's where you're going to find it. But I feel as though this is say yes to your expansion. You are no longer, there's a feeling of being restricted or confined or shackled. You may have been someone previously who felt very uncomfortable, or maybe you still do, with taking up space. And a lot of people struggle with taking up space. What do I mean by that? It means you get to simply be. You get to be who you are. You get to exist as you are. You don't have to like you don't have to, check things off a list to be valuable or worthy, right? It's I get to simply be. I get to take up space. Whatever that looks like from one moment to the next, I get to be. And so this is your wink, wink, nudge, nudge, that it's time to take up space. It's time to let yourself take up space, because you are not small, nor were you meant to be small. Okay, so this might be confirmation for someone, because I'm totally hearing nobody puts baby in a corner, dirty dancing. Like, wild how these messages come through. It never ceases to amaze me. It's so funny. But it is this energy of, sweets, you were never meant to play small. You were never meant to sit in the corner. And you're being encouraged to, like baby in Dirty Dancing, to take center stage of your life, to become the main character in your story, to take up space, right? No longer are you a sidekick. No longer are you a footnote. No. This is your story now. And this is you becoming the main character, you filling up all of the pages. And those that you meet along the way being a part of your story, not you being a part of someone else's. There are probably more of you that would resonate with feeling as though you've been, a supporting role in someone else's story, right? Always the bridesmaid, never the bride, or however you want to word it, okay? It is that kind of story. And this is your nudge to take up space, to fill the pages, for it to be about you. For you to be the main character. You to have the starring role. And take a break. A life's work, not a season. Get off the treadmill. There's a couple of ways this is coming through. I feel as though one of them has to do with what you have done is no easy feat. It requires a tremendous amount of who you are. I do not say that lightly. I don't say that jokingly. It truly takes everything you've got to work through these layers, to face your shadows, to confront your fears, to purify your heart, to heal. It is a tremendous undertaking. And it requires that respect. That being said, if you climb Mount Everest, once you come back down, you're gonna let yourself recover, right? You're gonna eat some food, breathe, sleep, right? After essentially dying in the death zone of Mount Everest, because that's what your body is doing while you're up there. And this is what has been going on with you, okay? There are parts of you that have been dying. You've been releasing them. You've been putting them to rest. You've been grieving them. You've been letting them go. This is no easy task. And now that you are coming down the mountain, let yourself recover. Give yourself the opportunity to rest. Give yourself the opportunity to replenish your well. It's okay to take a break. This is something that I feel, again, is not discussed as often as it should be. Because we have this programming, we have this mentality that we should just be on all the time, that we should just be going all the time, or chasing all the time, doing all the time. And the fact of the matter is, we are nature. We're not robots. We are a part of nature, and we too have a season for rest and a season for work, a season for sowing and a season for harvesting. We are nature and we have seasons. And this part for you, this time, could most certainly be one where it's like, hey, you've been going. And while that's to be commended, and while that's beautiful, and it's amazing that you want to keep going, but you have to remind yourself that you are a human being. You're not a machine. You're not a robot. And it is imperative to your well-being to take care of yourself, to rest when you need it. And based on what I'm picking up here, what you may have went through, you probably need it. Okay? I'm not like, however long that, whatever that looks like is for you. And this isn't just, I'm not saying you have to like veg out on the couch and watch Netflix for like a year or something. Okay? That's not what I'm saying here. There are many ways that one can replenish themselves. There are many ways that one can rest. Right? For some, it's maybe not going on social outings. It's staying in your own energetic space and doing things that you love, doing things that warm your heart, doing things that you enjoy, doing things that make you laugh and smile and, you know, fill your cup. But whatever it is for you, it's important for us to tune into our bodies, tune into ourselves, and ask what it is we need, and to honor that. Okay. Anything else you need to know? Okay. Yes. 8 of Cups. I mean, it really, you can't make this up, because this is absolutely leaving behind the things that are not serving you. This is absolutely letting go. No. Anything else, please? Okay. Ooh, hello, world. Okay. So I'm hearing it's a brand new you. Oh my goodness. Let me reintroduce myself to the world. What have you been doing? No. I love this, because there is a feeling of, let me reintroduce myself, because a lot has changed. I am not the same person I once was. And as a matter of fact, even those that thought they knew you as recent as a month ago may not know you at this point. Because I feel like there has been so much being done, so many layers that have been being worked through and navigated, so many revelations that have been taking place, even in the short span of a month. I feel as though you are not the same person, and there is absolutely this energy with the World card that's saying, let me reintroduce myself. And the thing of it is I feel as though even your appearance may be different. It can be your physical features that have changed. It can be the way you dress, the way you carry yourself. Maybe you moved through the world trying to make yourself as small as possible, right? So your head toward the ground, your eyes toward the ground, your shoulders toward the ground, trying to be as small as possible. And you now may be showing up in the world. I'm getting chills. You now may be showing up in the world like, ta-da, ta-da, like, ta-da, here I am, see me, look at me, love me, like, and I don't mean that from an egotistical, arrogant place. I mean that from a place of, I love me, and I'm not afraid to share myself with the world. I'm not afraid to show what I love about myself. I also feel that the world is showing up here to, in a sense, confirm and congratulate you on your achievement, right? On being able to let go of these things, because again, it's not easy. Do you know how many times, and I feel like everyone has a story, whether it be their own or one that they heard from someone else, where essentially the ship that they're on is on fire and it's sinking, and they're like, no, I'll stay here, it's fine. Getting out of that comfort zone, letting things go, like being radically honest with yourself and saying, oh, this ship is sinking, it's time to abandon it. Like, that is such a incredible thing to overcome, because so many people won't. I am not saying that to stroke your ego or to make you feel better, or like, I don't do that, okay? That's not how I operate. I say that because it is absolutely true. When I was a bit younger, I had a conversation with a gentleman who was in his mid 60s, and we were talking about life, and I don't know, it was a very deep conversation for someone I had never met before. But it happens. And so this gentleman, after speaking with him for some time, turned to me and said, how is it that I'm in my 60s and you are, in your late 20s, early 30s, and you know things that I am just now starting to figure out? Like, I'm just starting to realize, how is it that this can happen? And it's because, first of all, it's just where you are on your journey, of course, but there are many instances where the reason why one takes so long to shift their consciousness, to shift the paradigm, is because they refuse. Because many things around them are telling them that it's time to get out of your comfort zone, that it's time to make a change, and they won't do it. The ability to look at oneself and be honest about who you are, what you've done, what you've experienced, the lies you've told yourself. I mean, it is essentially throwing yourself into the fire. And how many people do you know that would do that willingly? What else, please? Queen of Swords, yes. Yes. It takes this level of, I'm sorry, you guys, but you know, I don't have to tell you. If you are still watching this, you know. Absolutely. And you are conscious of it. It is not one of those secret-y, hidden behind the scenes, I know this. No, you know, because you've done it. The Queen of Swords showing up here is like this transformation, accomplishing this expansion of your consciousness, this healing, this shift. You've had to be brutally honest with yourself at times. And you've had to allow that truth, the pain of those truths that you've learned, to become the wisdom that guides you and leads you. And here's another thing, just as a side note. You may find yourself less likely to engage in what you know are lies. Before, you may have overlooked things, you may have, you know, and that's not to say that you're a liar, you know, no. I feel like it's like, okay, you're lying. I see that you're lying. And I'm just going to remove myself from whatever this is. Because if I can be brutally honest with myself, trust me, I don't need you to lie to me. That's right. I mean, I just feel like the Queen of Swords showing up is, you know, I know what this takes. I've had to be brutally honest with myself. It's been incredibly painful. And that has now become a part of the library of wisdom that I carry with me, if that makes sense. It has that whole, the truth will set you free, but first it's going to hurt a lot. That's what the Queen of Swords is giving. And you have likely experienced that. Like, the truth has liberated you, likely. You've probably felt that liberation. But it came at a cost. It came with a lot of pain, right? It's not something that just landed in your lap and you're like, oh, this is great. No, you had to earn it, right? You had to earn that wisdom. So we have here as well the Knight of Cups, which is very much, I feel, about wearing your heart on your sleeve, or there's an energy of standing in your integrity, tapping into those higher levels of consciousness. Again, it's not about, you know, lying to yourself. It's not about being what is the word? Why I'm getting the word fickle. Yeah, this is not, this is about, the Knight of Cups is saying, you know, wearing your heart on your sleeve, not shying away from what you know to be true within you. The Knight of Cups is incredibly introspective, okay? And it's acknowledging the truths within you that has brought you to this place. And that, again, it's reminding me of the Bible, because Christ says, I am the way, the truth. I am the way, the truth, the life. And so it is only by acknowledging these truths within your heart that you have found new life in yourself. Oh my gosh, praise the Lord. Thank you, Holy Spirit. That is glorious. Nine of Wands. It is your determination, your perseverance, your unwillingness to give up that has got you here. It has taken everything you've got to get to this point. And so there is absolutely this energy of don't lose sight of that. There's this acknowledgement of what it has taken. because it is only by your determination, your conviction, your perseverance, your ability to just keep going that has brought you here. And the thing of it is I don't feel like anyone's held your hand. That's not to say that you haven't had maybe moments of support, but a vast majority of this process, I feel like, has had to be done on your own. And I feel God, Christ, universe, whatever you call it, I call it God, I call it Christ. So those are the terms I'll use, but feel free to insert word here. It's been a requirement, if you will. Or maybe there's just been this knowing within you that this is something that you have had to do on your own. Right? Instruction from God. You must go through this on your own. This is, it's almost like an internal pilgrimage. Like a pilgrimage to the, inner parts of your soul, a pilgrimage into your being. And it's one that I feel, again, a vast majority of has had to be done on your own. In those more intimate and quiet moments with God. Right? And for some of you, that reason is because you've had to learn how to lean on not only yourself and what you feel within and become familiar with your own inner voice, but also you learn to hear and recognize the voice of God within you, Christ within you, your higher self within you, the angels within you. And it's only through being with yourself, apart from all of the noise, and I'm not trying to be insensitive, okay? But it's all things that would distract you from that inner work. And so I feel like you've kind of been put apart from, so that you could accomplish that, so that you could find yourself exactly where you are. And again, it's required every bit of who you are, which is another reason why I feel that for so many who go through this process, there is this amount of time that you do a lot of this work alone. We also have the King of Pentacles in the reverse. Quite fascinating, this energy showing up, because I'm getting a lot of things with it, actually. One of which is going through this process and existing in a material world. Okay, because a vast majority of people are still part of the rat race, right? They're still in that level of consciousness, or they're still of the mindset that, they got to run themselves into the ground. A lot of people are just doing what society says to do. So there's a part of it that is speaking to the challenges that come with reaching this level of consciousness. Meanwhile, your physical world seems to be full of those that have no understanding. There seem to be very, very few who can meet you where you are. There are incredible, incredible challenges that come with that. So a part of it, I feel like, is speaking to that. There is another part of this that speaks to how little stability you may feel like you have. Because there is, again, it's this preparing for new life. There is this feeling of starting over. There is this feeling of building from the ground up. And I feel like what you've been doing up to this point has had a lot to do with those, we'll say, foundations that you've been building with God, right? The foundations you've been building in your spirit. not with any physical foundation. And so based on the current societal paradigm, based on, societal standards, you may look like you have no idea what you're doing in life. Okay? You may look like you've completely lost your marbles. You may look as though you have no idea what you're doing. But it's because you have not been building this foundation in the physical world, or perhaps you've torn all of it away, right? Or it's because you've been building your foundation in the spirit, and you can't see that here. So it may feel very unsteady. It may feel very shaky because you're in this world, but not of it. What has so much weight for others means little to you. And so that can feel, it can really do a number on how secure you feel, how prosperous you feel, how successful you feel. Because to the, we'll say, untrained eye, you don't have much to show for what you've been doing. But in the spirit, that's a whole other story. And that's what matters. You may be someone who has come to that realization. And so now it's about keep going, right? Don't stop. Even though things feel really unsteady, even though you may have nothing or little to show for what you've done, don't give up. Do not allow that to be the marker by which you judge yourself, because it matters little. You will, at a time that is perfect for you, according to God's will, you will find yourself at a place where you reap the rewards for your efforts. But what that's going to look like and when that's going to take place depends on you, your purpose, your journey, and all of the things that you've been doing. And of course, God. And how God wants to use you. So there's a message of, let not your heart be troubled. Okay? Everything will work out. What is the saying? I don't even know. I'm hearing it'll all work out in the wash, or it'll all, I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's significant for someone. It's not something that I would say. But it's like, it'll all come out in the wash, or it'll all work out in the wash. Like it will all sort itself out. Okay? Like, you don't have to worry about that. It's not like there's a deep level of trust and faith here that God will provide. The universe will provide. And again, I'm not saying that this means you sit on your couch and watch Netflix and wait for, Christ to show up at your doorstep. But you are listening for the nudges. You are listening for instruction from your higher self, from your angels, from Christ, right? You're waiting for that instruction. And when it comes in, you follow it. God will provide. Christ, your angels, will provide. And this is a whole new, this is something that I feel like not a lot of people at this time have any understanding of, or like they don't know how to respond to it. We read in scripture about, these individuals who God was like, go here. And they said, okay. And it was no thing, right? Like, it was normal. But the world we live in, it is few and far in between, where it's like, oh, really, how often do you hear of people saying, oh, God told me to sell all of my things and go here, and so I did? It is so few and far in between, right? So I understand, I realize that this is not an easy space to be existing in. But again, none of it is easy. It's not meant to be easy. It is meant to grow you. It is meant to evolve you. That's the point. And so you're going to find yourself uncomfortable. You're going to find yourself facing things that you haven't before. And that's okay. It's okay to be uncomfortable, right? It's okay. But there is still this big, or this larger message of, let not your heart be troubled, because you will be provided for. Have faith, trust. That same faith and trust is likely what got you through this process anyways. And had you not had that support, that angelic, that divine support, I feel pretty confident saying that it's quite likely that you would not have been able to make it through it on your own. And if you were, which I don't see that happening anyways, just to be very clear, I don't believe that we do anything just willy-nilly all by ourselves. It's very likely that you wouldn't have made it through this process without that divine support. And as someone who has not always had a strong relationship with God, with Christ, I can say very confidently and with no fear, I would not have made it through my healing to the point where I'm at now without God. It is not possible. It's not. There's no way. It couldn't have happened. I would have lost my mind, quite frankly. So trust that you will be provided for. You will be taken care of. Okay, let's get some final messages. Moving forward, what is it that you need to know? Thank you. Oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. Are you serious right now? There could not be a more perfect card. The law of Dharma. Transform your pain into purpose. This is the path you are on. I mean, seriously? I feel like this is a message, this is saying keep going. Okay? Because it is, like I said earlier, it is so likely that the things that you have experienced, the challenges that you have faced, the darkness, the shadow that you've faced, the pain that you've endured, that you've triumphed over, it is very likely that those experiences are going to be useful in regards to your purpose, the purpose God has over your life. Whatever it is you're meant to be doing here, however it is that you can be of service to others, it is likely, highly, highly likely that they are a part of what you're doing here. That it is something that is going to be useful and valuable to you moving forward. The woman on this card here, she's wearing this white dress. She's in the midst of a storm, and she has her lion with her, which is giving me Christ vibes anyways. You know what it's reminding me of? So It's reminding me of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And I believe his name is Aslan, the lion. It is a representation of Christ. The Chronicles of Narnia stories have esoteric Christian meanings to them. And that's what this is giving me, because if you can, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it because it blends into the background pretty well, but there is this incredibly bright light right at the center of that lion's right between the eyes of that lion, right in the, we'll call it like the third eye region. And there is this message of, if God is with you, who can stand against you? Right? And that, I feel like, will resonate very deeply with some of you, because there is this awareness that Christ is with you. God is with you in every single moment, every step you take, everything you do. God is there. Christ is there. How is that? Because it is within you. And so you may have become, or maybe you are on the path to becoming aware of the fact that every room you walk in, every storm you find yourself in the midst of, Christ is walking with you. Christ is going before you, behind you, beneath you, above you, all around you. It's not just you walking into that room. It's not just you going through whatever it is. It's not just, no, it's also Christ within you. And there is this very, I feel for some of you, you may have, or moving forward again, I feel like you may be finding that you're coming to this realization, which is incredibly, like there are not words. There are not words for what that feels like. But back to the card, she's wearing this white dress, which is a symbol of purification. And she's in the midst of a storm, and she is not afraid. So again, it is, let not your heart be troubled. Have no fear. You are not doing this alone. And anything you find yourself facing, you have the ability to overcome. Okay, and final messages. Any final messages, please? Oh no, that would be way too many cards. Okay, there we are. Final messages. So we have here, yes, expansive, intellectual, inquisitive. You could have your sun, moon, rising in an air sign. You may have a lot of air in your chart, though you don't have to. That could just be additional confirmation for someone. Thank you, Holy Spirit. It is, notice the air symbol on that flag there. It is truth above all else. Ooh, hello. That's pretty powerful. But I do feel like this is about putting truth first, which is essentially, in all honesty, putting Christ first in your life, making that the staple, okay? Making that the standard for everything. That is coming through here. Of course, there is the message of keep expanding. Say yes to your expansion. Remain curious. Ask questions. Do not take things just at face value. That is not the space that you exist in anymore. Right? But most importantly, this is, I feel, putting truth first and remaining curious and seeking expansion, right? So seeking to expand on your knowledge base, seeking to expand on your wisdom, seeking to expand in all areas of your life, right? Attaining higher knowledge, and seeking that again and again and again and again, because there is no, oh, you're done now. There is no, oh, I've learned enough now, right? You hear people all the time, I'm enlightened now. No, first of all, no, wrong. If you are parading that about, you still have work to do. I'm sorry. But I'm not going to dance around the truth. If you are someone like, I'm enlightened now, I know the things, no, you don't actually. And the fact that you're saying that tells me as much. Because this is a continuous journey. And if you come to a point where you're like, I know all the things, I'm enlightened, I've reached everything, you're not God. So let's approach that conversation again, and for real this time. Okay? I'm not saying that to be mean. Like, it just is what it is. So keep expanding. Like, say yes to your expansion. Say yes to your truth. I just feel like, okay, so, forgive me my rant just then, but it's so dangerous to try to convince people that that's how this goes. It's so dangerous to be at this point where you believe yourself to know all things, that you've learned enough somehow, you've reached enlightenment and there's nothing left for you to do. And oftentimes those same individuals are trying to teach others or influence others, and it's so dangerous, so incredibly dangerous. So I don't say that to be disheartening. I don't say that to, again, forgive me the rant, but this needs to be understood. I want to encourage you to keep seeking and to take what it is you find and apply it to your life, embody it, use it. Well, the things that are helpful, the things that expand you, the things that grow you, things that are true, use that, right? Turn it into wisdom. Don't let it just collect dust in the back of your mind, right? It's not for us to just hold on to and cling to and just hoard all of this information. No, we're meant to be using it, using what is useful, applying it in our lives, turning it into wisdom. And so I want to encourage you to keep doing that. And yes, you will have days, you will have seasons where you are asked to confront and transform your pain again and again and again. Different levels, different layers, different themes, different areas of your life. Yes, you will have to do that. But it is all for your expansion. It is all for you to grow. So I've loved every single second of being here with you, and I want to thank you so, so much for spending so much of your time with me. I pray that something here has blessed you in some way, shape, or form, that you've found it valuable or useful as you navigate your journey. Perhaps it's provided you with some kind of confirmation. No matter what it is for you, I pray that it's been helpful. And I pray that you keep going. I pray that you see how incredible how amazing, how awesome, how magnificent and marvelous it is that you've found yourself at this place. Because again, this is not something that everyone will choose to do, and you should celebrate that. Take care of your growing, evolving, learning, beautiful soul. Peace be with you and within you. I'm sending so much love your way, and I hope to see you in another chat. Bye.